of all, is it covers two goals. Number one, it covers the customer service goal. This is really important, right? To service our existing clients. The other goal of it is, because it's a good news call, we want to, I guess, impart a little bit of charisma or positiveness when working with our people, right? So everything that we do is considered good news, you know? And I know that's sort of contrary to what your head is thinking right now, but trust me, there's a lot of good news in good news. So here's an example of a good news call. I go out and I take a listing. I bring, we don't use carbon paper anymore, right? So I have to email back my documents that I had signed to the client, right? Is that, I mean, is that kind of what you guys do? So when I do that, I have a RAS script that I use, and I'll explain that to you. But I send out the, I've got a video that's included in an email that I send out. I send it out with a copy of the paperwork. The video is basically going to be what's called a reticular activator system video, or RAS video. And I'll explain it to you real quick, and then you can watch the video, and it'll explain it to you as well, which is you also explaining it to your clients. So let me pick on Corey. Corey, do you know what the RAS is?
Reticular active system.
All right. Most people are going to say, no clue.
No clue.
Right? So remember the last time that you bought a car and you noticed everybody else all of a sudden driving that car that's similar to you, right? But you didn't notice those people before. So that's actually the reticular activator system going to work. So I wanted to let you know that now that we're working together in being able to sell your home, you're actually going to run into 2 or 3 other people who are looking to buy or sell a home. So Corey, that's the RAS, and I'm hoping what you'll do is when you run into those people, you'll just give me a call with their information, and I promise I'll make you look good. Does that sound okay?
Yeah.
All right, so that's the RAS. That's just a real quick call. I send it out once I send a copy of the paperwork to alert them about the fact that there's an email that's there. The email has a video that's embedded. That's me explaining the RAS in the event that I have to leave a voicemail, right? So I'm just bulletproofing the system. So I've got a couple of other things that I do once the photos, you know, come back and I send that out. I've got another RAS video. But now let's look at, we've got offers that have come in. We're negotiating offers. We get the property under contract. When I get the, don't worry, it's all here. I'm skipping some things because I don't have enough time to tell you everything, right? But it's, I swear to you, you can have it all right? So when we go under contract, we send out an email that has a recap of all of the important dates, right? So your 24A, B, C, D, and E, and then we also talk about possession. We briefly describe what 24A is, or what 24B is, or what 24C and 24D and possession. This is a great email for your client to have because they always have a go-to source of when things are coming, all right? So once we're under contract, we send out the important dates, and it's good news, we're under contract, right? Of course that's good news. So we send out the email, we also have an embedded link, and we explain in the embedded link, you can watch the video, that this is like getting to the 50-yard line. Most of you guys have seen football, right? How many yards to get a touchdown? 100. So 50 yards is at the point that we're under contract, right? We still have 50 more yards to go. Watch the video because it'll explain what steps are coming. Now, I'm just, essentially what I'm doing is I'm handling objections before they become objections. And at the same time, I'm also earning referral business, right? I'm doing a remarkable job of staying in touch. But then I've turned his reticular activator system on. Now I'm reminding him every time there's good news, good news, good news, and you're going to see there's a bunch more of these good news. You're thinking all the time. You can't stop your reticular activator from working, right? You just can't stop it. So we send out the email, we send out the important dates, we pick up the phone, the email goes out, and it says good news, we're under contract, right? And then it lays everything out. There's a video in there that explains the analogy. I pick up the phone and I call them and I say, Corey, good news, we're under contract. I've sent you out an email that's a great reference point for you. This is a go-to place if you need to remember where we are with any of the dates, our section 24A, B, C, D, and E. Now we've got about 30 days or so before we'll hit the settlement deadline. And that's 30 more days that you have to find me 2 or 3 people that I can work with. Now, Corey, if we get to the settlement table and we haven't found anybody, I'm going to have to ask you a hard question.
What's that?
What could I have done better to earn your referral business? Right? So now I'm delivering on a promise. I'm making a promise, and you're like, oh my gosh, but this is all going so well. I certainly don't want to let my real estate agent down because I don't want to have him ask me a hard question. Don't worry, this is all in here, you guys. Everything that I'm telling you is literally in here because I just put it into a system. That's one of the great things about the one thing. Figure it out, implement it, perfect it, delegate it. That's what we do. So now we get a phone call saying, go ahead.
Can I interrupt? Just there's one point that you made that I really want to drive home is that you're not using email as an excuse not to communicate, you're just enhancing your communication. And
Oh,
I think
yeah,
so many times we say, oh, I texted the client or I sent him an email to
Yeah.
explain some really heady stuff. It's so much more effective when you send the email and then you follow up with that, say, hey, I just sent the email, here is the good news. It's such a better customer service experience. And you can get away with just email or just text, but you don't get the benefits of what
Yeah,
we're
if you
talking
make,
about.
so if you make all of the phone calls that are on here, it'll take you an extra 5 minutes per transaction to make all of the phone calls, right? None of these calls have taken
No.
that long so far, right? And we have 3 more phone calls to go, and none of them are gonna take very long. And so we've calculated it's about an extra 5 minutes to make the phone calls. Email is a waste of your time. If all you're doing is sending email, I just would get out of business probably now because it leaves a lot of room for interpretation, and it is our laziness that prevents us from picking up the phone. Our fear of rejection that prevents us from picking up the phone. And I'm just setting this up, it's all good news until it isn't. But don't worry, they're so used to good news that even the bad news is not bad news. We're gonna get through all of this, right? So what Boyd is telling you is right. Make the phone call. Every one of these emails that comes out, see, I have a transaction coordinator. They send out the email. I get CC'd on the email. I've got one that I have to make between now and when I go to my next appointment. And it's just an email, comes in, good news, inspection, tells me which property is. I call my clients, hey, good news, the inspection is ordered. This is the next one. Now here's the deal with the inspection. You'll see a video, I've sent that out to you. The inspector's gonna be there for about 2.5, 3 hours. We don't actually know for sure how long, but most likely the buyers are gonna be there towards the end. You gotta do me a favor, Corey. Please don't be there during the inspection. I don't want you making side deals. That's why you hired me, right? So I'll cover you, so I know it's an inconvenience, but it'll be one of our last. Are you okay just being gone during that period of time? Great. So the other thing, Corey, is with a home inspection, likely I'm not gonna hear anything back for 2 to 3 days after the inspection's been done. So even though, the inspection's being done, today at 3, it's likely I won't hear anything until maybe Thursday or Friday. And I promise you, if we hear anything on that, I won't keep it a secret. Sound good?
Sound great.
All right, how many times do you think I've had people call me right after the inspection was done? Did you hear anything?
Mhm.
So every single step of this is setting him up with expectations. That eases his anxiety. Every single call, he's thinking about, because the way that the emails go out, everything's good news. So all of the time, Corey is now relaxed through this process, and he's also thinking about who he can refer to me. Because then the next call is the appraisal being scheduled, and the email goes out, and there's a little video in there that explains the appraisal process, and you guys will have access to that, and you can watch it, and it's basically short and sweet. So Corey, appraisal's been scheduled for 3 o'clock today. You probably already got that notice, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So I just wanted to let you know, we're down to about 2 weeks here. 2 weeks for you to run into somebody who's looking to buy or sell. Have you ran into, you've ran into one, haven't you?
I have.
You have? All right, do you have their number? I can give them a call?
Yep, I can.
All right, great. So that's one. You're on a roll, right? We're gonna run into how many more?
3.
Probably 2 to 3 more. Okay, great, thanks very much. And literally, that's how these conversations go. It is just like that. And then I just explained to him that the appraiser's gonna be in the house for maybe 10, 15 minutes, outside for maybe 10, 15 minutes. You can stay there for that, it's no big deal. And the appraisal, interestingly enough, will take another 2 to 3 days after the appraiser's been out there before, the results are turned in. And honestly, Corey, if I don't hear anything, that's good news, right? So this is one of those weird scenarios where no news is good news. So if you don't hear from me on the appraisal, it's because we don't have a problem. Sound good? All right. So again, I'm setting up the expectation. I'm easing his concerns. I'm sending everything out by email, but I'm also making the phone call, right? Is this not world-class customer service? And how complicated is this? You just set it up, it's just a system, right? And all the scripts are here, and when you send it out, everything is here for you, right? So now, we're getting close, we're gonna go to the settlement. Hey, Corey, settlement's been scheduled. Russ has reached out to you already, so I look forward to seeing you there Friday at 3 o'clock. It's seller side, it would probably take us about 30 minutes or so unless you have some additional questions. Make sure you bring a voided check and your ID with you, okay? You've got the location that was in the email. And that's what, 4 days away? So we have 4 more days, Corey, 4 more days till we get to the finish line, all right? Till we get to a touchdown, 4 more days. I'm confident between now and the time we get together at settlement, you're gonna run into at least 2 more people, because that's weird, and it's just how the RAS works, right? So don't worry if you haven't, but I'm sure you will.
Okay.
All right, that sounds good. So now, we've done that, we've had the dialogue, what to expect at the settlement, we get to the settlement, what do you think I ask at the settlement when we're all done with that? I have a form that's there that reminds me to take down the rest of the names of the people that he runs into. How many times do you think we're getting names?
Every time you call?
Almost 80% of the time. I'd like to say 100% of the time, but sometimes we'll get like a first name and they're like, I can't. Is it okay if you just, and then here's the thing, then we have a post-closing plan. Oh, the post-closing plan, it's all in here too, right? So the post-closing plan also calls, follows up, makes sure everything's good, we don't have any questions. And most of the time, the referrals that we're getting are coming during that post-close transaction. They're like, I got this name, I got that name. So anyway, that's just a system for you guys if you want to increase your business by 17% over the next 365 days that you can implement, and all of it's there, including the scripts. Go ahead.
Have you ever been asked to stop asking?
No.
No, and never, nobody's ever.
Dude, I am like world-class customer service, right?
Yeah.
I mean, every time I'm calling, I'm optimistic. It's good news. It's good news, right? You'll notice I didn't ask every single time.
Yeah.
Read the scripts, you know, so just follow along. Yeah, anytime we're worried about that, that's just the monkey in our mind.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all it is. Because to them, they're like, he calls me, he tells me what to expect, he tells me when to expect it, he emails me, he sets, you know, I have no fear of the transaction. I'm hearing from my agent all the time. I know everything that's gonna happen all the way to the end. I am going to find that guy some business. And that's, by the way, 67% of our business last year was sphere of influence business. We're just training them early. We just teach them how to do it. And a lot of them have been through it already more than once. I mean, we have people, you guys, in our sphere of influence that are giving us multiples of deals per year, because that's just what they do. They run into somebody like you and they're like, hey, I heard you want to sell a house. And they're like, you gotta use my agent. You know, I mean, that's just how committed they are to this. So this is a really good program. I definitely recommend that you do something about it. I shared it with Gary's top agents. I ran into them, a couple of them at Mega Camp, who are doing it with success. They haven't been doing it long enough to actually measure the success, because I think I shared it with them about 6-8 weeks ago. But they're already getting the referrals coming in. So this is no BS. This is literally my system, and it is literally, we track our RAS calls, what we call them. So every Tuesday morning at 8:30 is my team meeting. We track our RAS calls. So it's not like I'm just making up numbers. I think 93% of all statistics are made up, aren't they? Yeah. We're actually tracking our numbers. So we know every single week where we stand. We know how many emails went out on that agent's behalf. We know how many RAS referrals we got coming in based upon the calls that were made that correspond and follow up with those emails.
I think also you have to be willing to provide the customer service. You have to be willing to follow through with that. So if that's the key, is you're giving them value, you're adding to their experience, and you're helping them, you're truly helping them through the process of the transaction, versus just, okay, we're under contract, I'll check you later in 30 days when I get my check. That's how they feel sometimes. That's why some people don't find the value of an agent, because they feel like they're giving them a cut of what should be theirs. But if you're truly adding the value and you're having that be the focus, and you're consistent and you follow through, that's how a program like this would really work. You can't have one really great email, one really great call, and then not talk to them for 20 days.
It needs to be a system, you guys. I mean, this is literally a system. I mean, it happens exactly the same for every single client that we work with. We have it for the buyer side as well. I've included them in there along with the videos of my buyer's agents delivering very similar talks. The thing is we've got the video, we've got the email. Now, the most critical portion of this is that you're actually making the call. Most of the time when your clients have issues with what's happening in a transaction, it's purely because you didn't set them up for correct expectations. So why haven't I heard anything on this? Or why haven't I heard anything on this? Or when are we closing? Remember possession, you know, all of the deadlines, when's this due? I mean, it's because you haven't really done a good job of telling them what's coming, when to expect this. And notice how I'm saying, I'm not gonna hear anything back on the appraisal. right? So that does two things. Number one, it gives him permission not to call me, you know, because we haven't heard anything. But number two, it teaches him exactly what to expect. He knows that I'm gonna call him if there's an issue. And no news is good news. And how long could that take?
So we close.
It could take 2 to 3 days after the appraisal was there,
Whatever
right?
you
The
said.
inspection, yeah, the inspection. What are some common things? I often get that question, so I'll go through some of those common things. But normally, when I'm at the listing appointment, I'm going through those common things. Here are the things that they're gonna find. So just be aware, you don't have to deal with it right now, but you're gonna have to deal with it.
The other thing that dawns on me right now, just listening to you, is that this becomes the excellent customer service. Now you don't
exactly
have to
right.
think about it every time.
Yeah.
The system becomes the excellent customer service. It also becomes the reason to make the call, because you sent the email. Oh, just wanted to make sure you got my email, because a lot of times we are just afraid to make that call. So the system
You nailed it.
becomes the customer service,
Yeah,
the reason to make the call, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And the other thing I suspect from listening to you is that you use the statistic of 17, it's increased your business 17% since you put it in this system.
yeah.
But imagine if you're not doing anything. I imagine you were doing a lot of things before. You were doing it just more hit and miss.
Well, I had to
So for the
systematize it because I
average-
have a whole
Yeah,
team.
but-
And so to get everybody sort of doing everything
Yeah.
together, you have to have a system for
But
it.
the average person who's not doing any of that, or very much of that, just kind of a hit and miss thing,
Probably don't.
could
We're going
increase
50%
way more than
Yeah.
17%. That's just what I'm thinking. Is you could increase your business 50% or 75% or 100%.
Yeah.
Because if you were already doing those things, it was just hit and miss. It just wasn't in a system.
Well, it just
was
was
just-
not systematized, so I would be doing these things.
Right.
It didn't mean the agents that were on my team were doing these
Yeah.
things. And even though I can
Right.
teach you how to do these things, here's the sad thing. Like most of you guys in here literally right now, most of you, you're not gonna do anything with this at all. Zero. That's a fact. And I'm hoping that there'll be like 1 or 2 of you that will take this, because I'm literally just gonna
Yeah.
gift it to you. And I'm hoping that there'll be one or two of you that really will, but I've taught classes for a lot
But
of
I'm
years,
thinking,
so.
don't think 17%, think way more than that, right? Because most of us are not doing what you were doing
If you're only
before.
doing 1 or 2 transactions a year, 17% is not that much.
Yeah.
So you can do way more with this, but I wanted to come, you know, with something of value that you guys could literally take and implement. I'm just gonna give you the scripts, give you the system. You can watch my videos that are embedded there. And if you have questions, you know, filter those questions if you don't mind through Emily, and then I'll make sure that I get all of the answers back. So any of you guys who are truly committed to putting together, we call it just world-class customer service. If you're truly committed to doing that, I just want to make sure that you do have every ability to succeed on doing it and exactly how we do it, so there's no room for failure. And if you implement this, I promise you it will change your business, for sure. Anything else? Anything you just want to know?
On, at closing, if they gave you 3 referrals already,
Mm-hmm.
do you still give them that hard question?
No, heck no. No. We only have to ask the hard question, if what.
Right.
You don't- Yeah.
Yeah, so
referral.
it's kind of funny when you get to that point and everything's good, you know,
Right.
and you're at the closing and you're like, man, I mean, here we are, and I gotta do this, you know, and that's what they're doing. They're just like, oh, I know it's coming, and I'm like, all right, so if there was one thing that I could have done differently to ensure that this was a perfect transaction, what would that one thing be? And it's just like this total guilt, like, no, man, you were it's not you, it's me. Which is why we have post-closing plan, because we
You'll
actually
still
do.
have one more chance.
Yeah, they'll have a few more than one, but and that stuff's in there too, and so it's a great question. And it's really funny because if you actually do this, you have been so exquisite beyond belief that they had no idea that working with you would be this amazing. They had no clue, trust me, they had no idea. And when you get to the settlement, don't worry, they're still thinking, yeah.
And on the same thing, if you don't get that, you get to that closing and you have said, what could I have done differently? And they don't have anything there. That gives you that opening to keep in contact with them afterwards. You know, they're going to be expecting, you know, like, hey, you know,
Yeah, I mean,
I did this for you.
yeah, literally just like plug in and follow the plan, watch the videos, that's it. Yeah.
Josh, I probably know the answer to this question, but I think it'd be good to reiterate it, solidify it.
All right.
Okay, so 300 plus deals over the past year. I teach the database class here for the Ignite, and try to stress the importance of people building that database. Of those deals, what percentage is coming from you and your team, your collective sphere?
Well, 67% last year. So we don't have our year-end numbers. Clayton, who works on my team, tracks them, and he showed us the big bubble, and all the numbers are there, but he just built this graph. And like, here's the sphere of influence bubble, and the next biggest bubble is like that big. So, and that would be.
So it's fair to say that roughly 70% of your business is coming from your team.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Database.
I mean, your business is your database. So our whole focus, even when we're generating leads, is to bring them into the database. So I don't care if you're ready to do a deal today or not. You're just a number. It doesn't matter. Every 6 of you, I put in my database and I stay in touch with. Using the 8x33 touch system is going to be a deal. And here's the good news about that. Your sphere of influence is market proof. So when the next shift comes and, oh, by the way, it's going to happen, okay? So get over yourselves. It's going to happen. The shift will come. When the shift comes, because you've been diligent about feeding and working your database, you'll never go out of style. Your business will never go down. In the worst market we had, every single year my business still went up, and it was because of the database. Your database is your business, and it's a singular focus for us. Everything that we do outside of the database is to put them in the database.
This is great, I appreciate it a lot, and the one thing I think about even in my business is so many times we're just reacting, so we're calling our clients when we have bad news. And we put off the call, and how inefficient are we because of the time we waste thinking about making that hard call because we know we haven't given good service. So then the first call you've made since you listed is call them and tell them that the deal fell apart or something like that.
Yeah.
And this is, you're taking control of the situation.
Yeah.
And you're proactive, and that's why you're gonna get those referrals. If you're calling them saying, guess what, we need to reduce the price, or the deal fell apart, do you have a referral for me? It doesn't hurt.
No, but we have to be, like, right now, we have to be deadly honest with ourselves. Because honestly, that is the way most of us operate our business, and that's the truth. I mean, it just is, because I've been around long enough and I've done enough deals to know that that's basically the status quo, and it's not that much more effort for you to go from good to great. It really isn't. It's just having a system and just making sure you follow it every time. And like Emily said, now for us, the good news is I don't even have to think about it, you guys. I don't think, I mean, I can't name all the clients I'm working with right now. I'd have to like stop and, write it all down, because I don't need to. My brain is freed up to teach you guys. You know what I mean? Because when I have something that I have to do, it shows up. There it is. I just do it. It's the same way every single time. I don't overthink it. I just do it. It's easy. It's very easy. It's hard when you wait, but it's easy when you're proactive. Yeah.
How many team members do you have?
14. Yep. Between admin and sales and showing agents.
How, as far as how many buyer agents versus listing agents?
3 buyers agents, 3 listing agents.
Just a small little mom and pop.
Just a little brokerage called KW. Hey, listen, you guys are at the right company. That's the thing. I'm totally being honest with you when I say I am a product of Keller Williams. The reason why I have the success that I have is because I've been doing all of these things for a long time. When somebody says go to Bold, they actually mean it. When somebody says you should go to Mega Camp, go. Really, just go. Like, I now network with the top 800 agents in the company. I get referrals. Last year I had $96,000 in income just from referrals that came to me. You know why I got those referrals? Because I've seen them over and over and over. I've been doing this for a long time, so I see the same people, similar people, meeting people, and I've paid for every event and every coaching and everything I'll ever do for the rest of my Keller Williams career, just from going. So, I mean, goodness gracious, just go, buckle down, make it happen. And I'm not just saying that. I'm not your team leader up here telling you that. I'm like, that's what I did, and that's what I'm hoping you guys will do. I think that's it. Right?